Why, happy Easter 2021. What a crazy year 2020 was, huh? It certainly brought a lot of change to our lives with COVID and now the vaccinations and the controversies that happened all around that whole context. I hope you survived well. Um, I know that it's been trying for many of us. But today is Easter Sunday. And my thought today is I've entitled this little thought, Containing the Message of Easter, or Trying to Contain the Uncontainable. Easter is one of those topics that we get all excited about. We think it's important, and it is truly important. But what we miss is the fact that we really can't contain it, the message of Easter. And what is that message? It's the good news that Jesus rose from the dead. That resurrection proved to the world that he is who he says he is, the Savior, the Son of God. But behind this is the whole concept of this message of Easter: love, grace, acceptance, forgiveness. And we need a lot of that today: love, grace, acceptance, forgiveness. And so I'd like to just take a few minutes to go through a passage in the Gospel of Luke and kind of reveal to all of us you can't contain the message of Easter. In Luke chapter 5, there's a controversy that comes up about Jesus because he was always doing crazy things in his culture. He would do things that the Pharisees say, oh, you're not supposed to do that, or why are your disciples eating without washing their hands? And he brought some new thought to them. And so one day they came to him, and this is in Luke chapter 5. John's disciples, they say to Jesus, frequently fast and pray, and so do those of the Pharisees. But your disciples keep right on eating and drinking. In other words, he did something different. His followers did something different. And I would have to say to you, throughout all history, the followers of Christ have done things different than the culture. Now hang with me. So Jesus replied to them, you can't force the wedding guest to fast while the groom is still with them, can you? But the time will come when the groom will be taken away from them and they will fast. In other words, he appeals to a cultural phenomenon that when a wedding is going on, everybody is having fun and happy and celebrating that wedding feast. You're not going to mourn, you're not going to fast at that time. But at the appropriate time, you will do that. And then he goes to a second story, a parable. He goes, this is Luke 5:36, and he told them a parable. No one tears a piece of cloth from a new garment and sews it on an old garment. If he does, the new cloth will tear, and the piece from the new won't match the old. And no one pours new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the new wine will make the skins burst with the wine, and the wine will be spilled, and the skins will be ruined. Instead, new wine is poured into fresh wineskins. Now, what does all that have to do? Well, it has to do with you can't contain Easter. You can't contain the good news. When I was a young guy back in the 70s, late 60s and 70s, the Jesus movement had just started. And it brought some radical thoughts to contemporary Christians at that time. I mean, there was no place for drums or guitars in a worship service, for example. And yet, my generation brought it in. All of you that are involved in church now, and you hear some wonderful contemporary songs, we didn't have that. We started it. And boy, was there heartburn in in the lives of many of the older Christians at that time. Um, and then later on in my ministry, when I was pastoring in a church in Anaheim, we had a young guy bring in rap to the church. And I remember that those of my generation were saying, Jeff, when will this stop? What's with this rap? And we allowed contemporary dance, interpretive dance. And there was heartburn. It was like these people were saying to Jesus, your disciples, they're still eating and drinking, and yet John's disciples are fasting. What's the story? You can't contain Easter. The love of God in the hearts of people cannot be contained. Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men to myself. He is that true light that enlightens every man, from day one till now. That spark of God in the heart of people. It's there. You cannot contain it. And so Jesus' reply, look, what type of a wineskin are you? New wine needs new wineskins. And the message of Easter is constantly new in every generation, to every human being, constantly new. The challenge is, though, we come into a relationship culturally, spiritually with God in our life in many different ways, and it's expressed in different ways. Our challenge is to not lock it down, to let it be free, and to let the new wine continue to be poured into our lives. We don't fundamentally like change. 2020 gave us change we didn't want to have. But so far we've made it out. God is at work in the hearts of all humanity to bring love, to bring peace, to bring eternal happiness. And Jesus showed us that this new wine, this message, cannot be contained in any one cultural form or any one message. What's fresh for you back in the day is probably not fresh today. And what's fresh today, we could conceivably say, yuck, I don't like it, I like it the old way. And therein is the challenge. In fact, even Jesus went on in this parable and he said, no one who had been drinking old wine wants new wine. Because he says, the old wine, it was good enough. Friends, the message of Easter is that you cannot contain the uncontainable. We put it in a package for a little bit into a cultural expression of love and faith that fits us. But along comes a new generation and says, hey, here's other ways to do it. And here's my words of thought for us today, Easter 2021. First, a word to my fellow seniors. Acknowledge that our context and cultural expression of the message of Easter was the wineskins of our day. Don't become the grumpy, narrow old people who were out of touch when we were kids. Don't be that way. Let your hearts remain flexible and enjoy the new wine that is the new wineskins, that's in the new wineskins. Because you see, it's futile to try to contain the uncontainable message of Easter. Remember to love, for us seniors, remember to love and to care and to be cheerleaders for these younger than us folk today. For those who are younger, let them be in their wineskins with all their differences from us. And then a word to those who are in the middle age of life, whatever that means, I don't know, 30 to 50, I don't know what that means. Middle age, who knows? you're coming out of your most flexible state and have a lot of influence in the lives of those around you. You stand in the middle between the emerging and the prior culture. Don't be tempted to lock yours down as the only way. Don't do it. Just remember, you'll soon be one of us, the seniors. But please don't be. Be fresh. Keep it going. And lastly, a word to the emerging wineskins, the young people today who give me such hope, those who are seeking spirituality in various forms. They're trying to get in touch with who they are, and that the God of the universe is speaking to them in ways that has not spoken to us, perhaps. You're the most flexible, you emerging wineskins. See the needs of the world around you. Take the leaps of faith, the fearlessness of youth, and do something big in your life for God and the message of Easter. Learn to fail fast, to move to find a solution for the challenges you face, a path, just whatever it takes to make it happen. And don't forget to learn from history, but don't let history stop you from being you with something new. That's my message for Easter 2021. Trying to contain the uncontainable. Don't do it. Let the new wine be in you. Be a new wineskin as well. Happy Easter. I love you guys. This is from Jeff, the Misfit Christian. Have a great day.